Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. If you are wanting to get away from home but still looking for a little bit of seclusion, pick the cabin of your dreams in the Smoky Mountains. Just visit ParksideCabinRentals.com. Check out all their different layouts and amenities, and wherever you stay there in Sevier County, they'll have free parking in downtown Gatlinburg for you. ParksideCabinRentals.com to learn more. All right. As I mentioned, DeAndre Johnson made his transfer official. He's going to Miami. That was announced late last night, early this morning. So he will be going to the University of Miami. Cade Mays will be returning. Jimmy, what did he tell you about it? You know, you had that story.
Yeah, I tracked him down, and this was all text messages. And when I called him initially, he just said, hey, he texted me back, what do you want to talk about? And I said, I want to talk about whether you're returning and whether you'll be able to go through spring. He then texted me back and said, yes, I am returning to Tennessee, and I will be healthy enough to go through spring. And he didn't want to elaborate. So that was kind of the end of that. But so we broke that story, I guess, around 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve.
Okay. Balin Buchanan, not a surprise that he's departing. Didn't play this past year, has the neck back issue. You spoke to him. Yeah. He had some interesting things to share.
He did. He said he did not want to leave Tennessee, but he said he had been cleared by NFL teams before 2019, but then Tennessee doctors didn't clear him. He said because of his love for Tennessee, he stayed another year hoping he'd get cleared. He wasn't cleared again for a second year, and he said the coaches didn't want him to leave, but he said that Coach Pruitt and the staff said, look, we can't overrule our doctor, so he is going to transfer. He said he'd make a decision by early January about his future. And he like Austin Pope, has a goal of playing in the NFL, and he wants to put more of his abilities on tape.
Interesting that he would be able to get a clearance from an NFL team somewhere.
This is a little different, but there was a player, and I can't remember his name. He was from Georgia, and I think his last name was Jones. He went to Southern Cal and was not cleared. He had an injury, wasn't cleared, and then he transferred to Georgia, played really well, and was cleared by the Steelers. And Buchanan brought that example up to me. I just forgot the guy's name.
Jarvis Jones?
Jarvis Jones. And he played with the Steelers, so he brought that up as an example.
Austin Pope surprised some people when it was announced last week that he would be departing. Jimmy and David, you guys both spoke to him, and I want to take it in two different directions. Jimmy, he was not happy with the way he was used here.
Yeah, he said that he caught, 7 passes in 3 years. He said he wanted to be used more as a pass-catching tight end. He wants more tools in the toolbox. He said that when he got to Tennessee, he was a terrible blocker, and he credited Larry Scott with helping him become a good blocker. But his senior year of high school at CAK, he caught 55 passes. Well, 7 in 3 years wasn't getting it for him. He talked to Eli Wolf, who had transferred from Tennessee to Georgia. Wolf told him that he thought it helped him get to the NFL camp with the Ravens. And so he wants to go to a school that utilizes a tight end. And he said that at Tennessee that was not going to happen.
David, you spoke to him, and I thought this was interesting. He, from what I made of his comments, made it sound like there are a lot of guys who really aren't committed to Tennessee that are on that team right now. They may be committed to attention, they may be committed to their Twitter feed, but they're not committed to doing what's necessary for the program. Did I read too much into that?
No, I mean, he pretty much laid it out. I mean, whether that's, guys not showing up for rehab and treatment, guys, not watching enough film, not being sort of fully all the way in on the program, doing everything that they can. In Austin's case, he felt like he was doing that, and when he looked around, he didn't see all of his teammates doing that. Not everyone, but enough that he said it made his blood boil just thinking about it, because he's a guy that grew up in Tennessee, loved the program, and hadn't seen that, and he left frustrated with a lot of his teammates that they weren't willing to put in the same investment that he was.
That's one guy's view. Of course, we have to couch that. We don't know if anybody else would agree with that, but certainly from the eye test, it would look like what he's saying certainly fits. I don't doubt what he's saying. That is not a great look for Jeremy Pruitt, that you brought in guys who maybe aren't fully invested in what they need to do to move the program forward. That doesn't help in a time when people they've got their checklists out. Ooh, put this on there. This isn't going right, and this isn't going right. That's something else that doesn't sound good right now if you're making your list on why he should go. Josh Ward, on the Cummings side of this thing, talking a lot of goings, Tennessee did get their top commitment signed in terms of the early signing period, we found out.
Yeah, this is good news that Tennessee was able to hold on to Dylan Brooks, the highly touted outside linebacker defensive end in the 2021 class, who'll be Tennessee's top recruit coming in. And that is a positive heading into next year, and that the potential of a number of pass rushers I think is really high. Now, potential has to turn into development, no doubt, but guys like Tyler Barron, Roman Harrison, Morven Joseph, Bryson Eason, I think, is a guy that Jeremy Pruitt's high on, who was a freshman this past fall. Now you add Dylan Brooks to the fold. Again, let's see how they develop on campus, but Dylan Brooks is no doubt a very talented player that a lot of schools wanted.
All right, very good. We'll talk next about just college football in general. The fact that it's basically a 3-horse race every year, it seems. Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. Is that bad for the sport? And then, a little later, if Jeremy Pruitt keeps his job, what is the one single most important piece of advice we would give him for this offseason? We'll tell you what that would be. Come on back on the Sports Hour.